Hello there guys, this is Krista Lewis from SCFC in Space, and today I'm going to be talking about my May wrap-up and my June TBR, and this is going to be probably, I forgot to turn on my microphone. Dang. Oh well. This is going to be another unedited video, and I have a lot of videos actually planned for next week, so I'm probably going to be posting this a little bit early, and in fact, it is only May 28th, so there's still like several days left in the month, but I need to get this finished so I can start thinking about other things. So here we go. So for the May wrap-up, pretty small. I finished Game of Thrones, finally. I had almost finished it last month, and I know I talked about it a lot this month. And I also, it's part of a reading vlog as well that I finished filming, but I still need to edit because yeah. But anyways, regardless, it was definitely dark, but just so good. I remembered a lot of things from the TV show, and that may have helped me enjoy this, but honestly, on audiobook, it was so enjoyable, even though I haven't read it in a million gazillion years. So highly recommend on audiobook. I did start the second book, but my plans have been derailed for listening to that momentarily, but they will be, I'll get back to it, I'm sure soon, because I'm just craving it so much. So, highly recommended that. So, and then next I also finished what is the whole thing? A Kestral for a Knave by Hines. That's what it was. I just wrote Kess because, as we learned from Tony, that is what it's called in Britain. It's just known as Kess. So yeah, that was also beautiful and like really heartbreaking at the end, and hearing from Tony, his thoughts on it really made it a more worthwhile read, I think, for me at least. I thought it was good, but then when I heard what he had to say about it, it definitely, he called it, sorry, it's been like weeks since I talked about it, but he called it it's pretty much a parable about the English school system and how kids were basically judged very quickly on where they would fit in society, basically, based on their school scores. And so like a kid like is it Danny, is that his name, the main character of this book, who didn't test well or didn't do well in school, he would basically not have much chance for a life beyond the mines as far as a workplace. But it shows, the book is supposed to show that anybody can be interested and like successful if they find the thing that they are most interested in. So, and in this case, the boy was interested in nature, and specifically birds, and even more specifically a kestrel, which is a type of bird that I guess isn't even found in America, which I didn't know. But anyways, this was a book club pick for the Short Classics for Charity book club that I'm running on Zoom, and it was a partnership with Kate Howe and her Patreon book club, and I just wanted to thank everybody for coming because so good, so fun. Really loved the discussion. We had a lengthy discussion with lots of interesting discussion about this book. So yeah, looking forward to our next pick, which is going to be Pilgrim's Progress by John Bunyan. And I will be reading this with, our book club will be reading this with Krista from Books and Jams book club, and we're going to discuss it in July. I think we even have the date. It's like July, sorry, I should have wrote that down, but I'm going off the fly a little bit here today, so I will let you know though, probably next month, or maybe I'll put it in the description, because I haven't shared that out with anyone yet. Okay, I will share that later because I don't have it written down in my phone. So anyways, excited to read this. This is on my June TBR to start for sure because it's pretty long, and our book club meeting on Zoom is not going to be like that far into July. It's going to be kind of early because I think I just like having this book club meet a little bit early because there's a lot of other things that happen at the end of every month, and so it just gives people, I guess, a focus, you know, okay, well, this will be mid-month or early in the month is when we're meeting, so I better read this first, you know, and then they can move on to the things that'll be ending at the end of the month, you know, so I'm just hoping that maybe that helps with you. It helps with me anyway, because I have a lot of book clubs that meet like at the very end or like the very beginning of the month. And so having somewhere in the middle in there really helps me personally. So anyways, if you're interested, by the way, in joining the book club, definitely email me at christylewisreviews@gmail.com and I will add you to our Zoom list. So excited to be reading with you guys, because meeting on Zoom, seeing everybody face to face, having in-depth discussions, it's just, I mean, it's so much better for me than seeing text, I guess, is what I would say. I love hearing from you in the comments so much, but then seeing your faces on Zoom is like infinitely better. So definitely consider coming if you're interested in chatting with me. Okay. This is a really messy outline here today. I have not even prepared ahead of time because I'm filming like 4 things today. So we're just gonna jump into it. So what else? I also finished Lord of the Rings. Where did I put that? It's over here. I finished The Fellowship of the Ring, and I can't believe that I haven't actually gotten into the Two Towers yet. It was definitely my plan to continue immediately into the Two Towers because it was so good. It was so good. I haven't read these in so long, and I don't think I've ever read through the whole Two Towers before, so can't wait for this. And this also is part of another vlog that I will talk about it. I will talk about this and Game of Thrones more in other videos, but it's so good. Okay, I also DNF'd 2 things. I DNF'd The Pioneers by David McCullough, which I was buddy reading with Tiffany, and Tiffany's enjoying it, so that's really cool. And I think I was enjoying it, but the subject matter isn't something that I really cared about. It's really following one man in particular that I had never heard of before. It's basically a man who, he's part of the Americans who settled Ohio after the US became its own nation, but before we had a president. So basically the Northwest Territory they were going over the Ohio River and trying to settle over in the Northwest Territory. So it's like interesting, but I was really reading it because I had just read Oh Pioneers by Willa Cather, and I was like, Pioneers! I want to learn more about the Pioneers! And it didn't really scratch that itch for me because it's a totally different part of the country than I mean, and Willa Cather does this too. She will, her books are set in different states. From my understanding, that continues to be the case. The first book I read from was in New Mexico, and then the second book was a totally different state. And I'm even drawing a blank now. But regardless, it is interesting to hear about the makeup of different states, but this one was, I feel like David McCullough's style, he hops around so much with different people and characters that I just get confused. I can't really listen to it coherently, and I just don't get as attached to people, honestly, in his books. Although that's not entirely true, because John Adams I absolutely love, but I don't think it was because of that biography. I think I would have loved John Adams no matter who was writing the book. That's just my impression. I just think John Adams was a man of principle, and I love a man of principle. So, yeah, regardless. Okay, next I also finished Heirs Above Ground by Mary Stewart, which is like a new, I honestly think romantic suspense, I guess, is what it's called. That Kate Howe said that is the genre, and I loved it. I actually thought it was mystery because there's like a bunch of mysteries very central to it, and it's not like a traditional romance. It's about a married couple kind of reuniting. But it is very romantic. So I think I really like a romantic element to a book, plus suspense, plus the setting. So this book is set mostly in Austria, and again, it's following the Lepizan stallions. And basically, okay, I'm not even describing these books very well. So Heirs Above Ground is a reference to an exercise that a horse can do in performance. There's a bunch of exercises where they jump up in the air and they pose, in a very strategic way that looks really beautiful and was useful in war, basically. Oh gosh, I thought I knocked my gem off. Okay, anyways, so basically, we are following a young woman and a young man who are traveling to Austria. The young man is hoping to get a job working with the Lepesian stallions, and the woman is looking for her husband. And so they get wrapped up in a murder mystery that happens looking for the woman's husband. And I feel like maybe not all of the plot threads were wrapped up super well. This is a book that I discussed with Emma's book club, the Bookish Kingdom book club this month. We met, and that was something that people in the meeting mentioned, was that, oh, the plot threads didn't exactly all get, like, explained. Like, the young man's story didn't entirely get explained. But it was so enjoyable while I was reading it that I didn't even notice or care until we were discussing it. So I really, really loved reading this. It was really fun. There was like a very carnival, there was a circus involved. There was like a lot of just like fun elements to me, like circuses. Like, that's so fun. We get really in depth in the movements of a circus moving from across Austria. And yeah. I really loved it, so maybe I will check out more Mary Stewart and eventually more romantic suspense. So this one I read that physically, so that did take up quite a bit of the month. And then I also, I wanted to talk about Jirisan, because this is a K-drama that I just finished like last night, the night before. It was so good. So this took me like it's probably been like a year since it came out, honestly. It took me a long time to get through all 16 episodes because I thought it was gonna be like such a heartbreaker. And there was a lot of really sad things that happened, like a lot of really sad things. And the ending shocked me because it didn't tear my heart out like I thought it was going to. So I was so relieved at the end that I'm just like, oh, all the stars, 10 million stars for Jirisan. So I haven't really watched another drama like this either. I think I really like, I'm still figuring out my genre as far as K-dramas, like which genres are my favorite, because my first favorite is Tale of the Nine-Tailed, which is like fantasy, mystery, horror, romance. Strong elements of all of those things. And it changes from one half of the drama to the next half, like what elements are the most predominant. So I loved that, and it's sort of a mishmash of genres. I loved Jirisan so much, and it's also a mishmash. No, this one isn't really a mishmash. There's a ghost story, which I found is definitely a winning element for me. A ghost story. There isn't a romance, but there are characters that you're like rooting for in their friendships and stuff. So there's really strong relationships in Jirisan, but it's primarily a mystery thriller, plus ghost story with some like sort of fantasy elements, but it's very like light on the fantasy. Yeah, suspense. It's very much a suspense drama. And basically we're following two rangers who are investigating a series of murders that have been made to look like accidents on the mountain. They are park rangers on this mountain. Jiri is the mountain, and San. San is mountain in Korean, so Jirisan, Mount Jiri. So they are park rangers on this mountain, and somebody is like, there's a serial murder killing people but making it look like accidents. And the reason they know it's murder is because one of these park rangers has been getting visions from the mountain of like the moment of death of these people. And so he gets the vision of the moment of death before it happens, and so they try to race to solve it, and it is like, it's definitely intense. Like, this is more intense than I think I would normally watch, which is why it took me so long to finish. And I had the same thing with Tale of the Nine-Tailed, where it took me a while to finish because I was like almost hesitant to throw myself in there and get hurt. But it was so good. It was so good. So highly recommend Jirisan on Viki. You can watch on Viki with ads. You can watch Viki with ads. But I hear that the ads are quite profuse. So what I would recommend is, it's only like $5 a month, I think, to watch things on Viki. There are some things that would require a $10 a month membership, But Jirisan is not one of those. It's one of the ones that only requires $5. So I say, go watch Jirisan before it disappears off of Viki, because I don't know where they'll put it if it disappears. And there's some amazing music too in this drama, like some of my favorite OSTs now from Jirisan. I'm gonna have to think now about my ranking of K-dramas because Jirisan has got to be up there. Some of my favorite characters are from Jirisan, so wow, so good. And I also DNF'd Sweetness at the Bottom of the Pie, which is a mystery that I don't want to get into that too much because that's also something that I'm talking about in my weekly vlog quite a bit. So, but yeah, regardless, this isn't bad at all. It's just not, it's like a cozy mystery vibe, and I only want so much cozy in my life. I have trouble sticking with cozy because to me it's fun, but there's only a little space in my life for cozy, and it's usually like reading right before bed when I'm just trying to relax. And that's only like maybe a 20-minute period of my day every evening. So, because my medicine works so well. I used to need a lot more cozy stuff because I had insomnia and I would have to have something cozy to read in order to relax and get to bed. But now I'm halfway asleep, you know, by that time now because of my anxiety medicine. So I just don't need that much cozy in my life. So this would be great for a cozy mystery fan. I think that's probably what it would be, because yeah, it's not maybe traditional cozy mystery. I don't think there's like, I feel like cozy mystery is usually, you know, an like, I don't know, I always just picture a very unprofessional detective with a cat or something. But it's not like that exactly, but I definitely got cozy vibes from it. So okay, that was all that I finished, and like I said, that wasn't all finished. Some of that was DNFing. So, okay, so let's move on to the TBR. I can't believe I've been going on for 17 minutes because I really was like, this is gonna be so short. I barely finished anything. Oh, but I did want to talk about, sorry. Oh, yikes, loud. I am fully intending to finish 2 things by the end of the month. And one of those is Monster, which I'm just, it's so good. It's so good. I'm halfway through it. I allowed myself to read it the other night because I was having trouble focusing on the other book. And it's getting so good. Okay, I liked the first volume. I'm loving the second volume. So this is about a surgeon who saves the life of someone who then becomes a serial murderer. So he's dealing with the ethics of that situation, and there's a character who comes into it and is traveling with the surgeon as they try to, I don't want to give away what the plot is, but as soon as this second character came in, I instantly loved the book like way more, the manga like way more. So I'm excited to continue this with Kellyanne, and I still need to box her because I have thoughts about the first half. So fully intending to finish this by the end of the month. I'm also fully intending on finishing, no, not this one, sorry. The Island of the Horses by Eilís Dillon. And this is a children's classic recommended by Kate Howe. And guys, this is so good. It's set on Ireland, following 2 boys who go to this mysterious place called the Island of Horses, where they capture a horse, a wild horse, and all sorts of like, there's some survival elements, there's some adventure. It's really interesting, really fun. There's no audiobook, so it's taking me a bit to read, but loving it. Also going to be talking about this quite a bit in my weekly vlog, so you'll be seeing more about this in that vlog. So okay, so I'm thinking I'll probably finish both of those by the end of the month, because those are going to be things that I'm focusing on reading in the evening or when I'm like stretching. So next, okay, so priorities next month are, of course, I want to get like at least halfway through Pilgrim's Progress this month. What I've been doing is prioritizing this first above everything else, the book club picks. So I'm hoping that if I get like halfway through, then I'll be able to maybe finish the rest on audiobook, or maybe I'll start it on audiobook and finish the rest. I don't know. We'll decide as we go. So, oh no, I just realized I totally forgot to talk about the history of Korea in my weekly wrap up. So maybe I'll just talk about it now. I'm fully also intending to finish this next month. I just finished the second to last chapter this morning, and it's so good, guys. So it's called South Korean Democratization. This was chapter 26 in A History of Korea by Kyung-moon Hwang. And this is so good. I'm learning so much from it. So basically, this is about how Korea went from a series. This chapter that I read today was about how Korea went from a series of dictatorships to democracy, basically. And there's arguments being made by progressive historians that there still isn't that much equality in the country, and so how democratic is it really? But I really think that they've made such incredible strides, and there's been so much national healing. Like there were just so many abuses of power, so much corruption, so much suppression and oppression of the populace by the government and by like the powerful actors who had money. There was massacres. I mean, there's all kinds of invasions. There's the split between the North and the South, and that wasn't caused by the Koreans at all. That was entirely caused by outer factors. Like, Korea has been through so much in their history, but at this point in the story, they are really starting to heal, and it's so encouraging to read. After all of this pain and heartache and terrible stuff, this chapter was like, but now they are reaching a place of healing, and that's incredible. So the last chapter will be South Korea in the 21st century. Can't wait. I'm planning to finish this month, focus on it, because the reason it's taking me so long is because I'm taking really extensive notes and summarizing, and I'm really enjoying that because I want to remember it. Oh, goodness. So the reason I want to finish this is because kdrama is coming up, and I want to post a review of this for kdrama. So, okay, what else is next? So, that's going to be also a priority, but that's something that I read in the mornings usually, and I don't usually read other books in the mornings. I really would read intensive history or like study in the mornings. And other kinds of books I save till the evening. But maybe once I'm done with that, I will transfer to Pilgrim's Progress in the mornings. We'll see. Okay, and then the other thing that I'm going to be reading, and I fully intend to be reading this partially with the audiobook, which reminds me I should probably like order the audiobook because I don't know if there's going to be a lot of holds on it. But I'm going to be reading this with Victoria, a musical bookworm. Yay! I haven't buddy read with her since Name of the Rose. And we have so many plans, actually, to be reading for the rest of the year. So, yay! I'm so excited about that. So this is gigantic. But I got her a copy for her birthday. And I got this copy from the little free library down the street. So, excited to try this. I've never read anything by Anthony Doerr, but it sounds weird, and I like weird. Oh my gosh, the audiobook is available. Thank you. So excited to start with this straight off, hopefully like June 1st, because this will be a priority read for me in the month, along with Pilgrim's Progress, and along with finishing A History of Korea. Okay, other things that I'm planning to read: Moorland Cottage by Elizabeth Gaskell. And I want to finish Moby Dick. I probably won't finish it in June, but I have a plan with regards to Moby Dick for the coming week. So I'm excited for that. You'll find out about that in my weekly vlog. Other things, potentially Crying with H. Mart. I'm going to potentially be buddy reading that, but the audiobook has so many holds and such a long wait list that I don't know if I'm going to be able to start it in June or not. So I'll have to tell my buddy reader friend that I don't know. I don't know when I'm going to get the audiobook. Also probably going to continue Nothing to Envy. Buddy reading that with Michi, and she's already done like long ago. I'm sorry, Michi. This is how I read. But yeah, loving that as well. Like learning so much again about North Korea. What else? Oh, there's a meeting for Death Comes for the Archbishop by Willa Cather. This is going to be a Emma from the Bookish Princess book club meeting, so definitely going to that because I've already read that. So I don't have here written down what the Kindred Spirits book club choice is, but Kate just added me to the list again. So The Rose Garden by Susanna Kearsley. Ooh, Susanna Kearsley. I've been wanting to try her out. I know I think it was Krista who was a big fan of hers. And I know that Kate's talked about her as well. I've never read anything by her, but maybe I'm really enjoying the suspense type things right now. So, and I think that there's some, what are they, like historical suspense? I don't know. Oh my gosh. And then for July, Island Magic by Elizabeth Gooch. I want to read Elizabeth Gooch so bad, but there's no audiobooks for her books. And they're cozy, so I need audiobooks for that. But regardless, what else are we reading? I'm supposed to start The Rise of the West by William H. McNeill, also with Michi. However, entirely because of my own fault, I'm still not finished with Nothing to Envy. So I'm probably going to need to finish that one first before moving into The Rise of the West. And I also had down here, this is getting like so far-fetched, it's ridiculous. Why am I still talking? You're probably wondering. But for Ancients of Thought, I was going to be reading Against Heresies by Irenaeus, but I think I might have packed out my schedule a bit. But maybe I'll start it. I don't know. Maybe I'll try it and just see what it's going to be like. Another book that, it's kind of frustrating because it's got so many holds on it. And it's going to go back to the library soon, and I'm probably not going to get it again for another like 5 weeks. There's this buddy read I'm supposed to be doing with Faith from Faith and Books and Tom from Ellie Books. Yeah, why did I forget that? Duh. And then also Christina. And I think there was somebody else in there too. And then we also have Emma in there. And so I'm like, oh, I want to be reading this. But then I planned something else for my weekly vlogs this last week and the next week as well. So I haven't gotten to it. I'm just a little bit too flighty at the moment, I guess. But I did start it and it's really interesting. So this is An Introduction to Christianity by Joseph Ratzinger. And it's written by a previous pope, and I think he might have died. I think he might have passed away. But it talks in the very beginning about how the world believed that Marxism was going to be a kind of salvation on earth, and then came the really devastating and surprising year when like all of the Marxist European countries collapsed. I forget what year, was it 89 or 87? And so, but then Christianity didn't leap to the forefront to take hold, and Christianity didn't offer a solution to the problems of the world. So I think he's talking about how we need to do that. I think maybe that's what the book's going to be about, but we'll see. I'm still I've sort of listened through the introductions. There's no audiobook, but I just had my iPad read to me a couple of the introductions to the actual text. So, but I actually want to physically read it because I think it's like right up my alley of things that I would be interested in. So, but because there's no audiobook, it's going to take some effort for me to finish. Okay, and then the other thing, oh my gosh, there's so many things. There's too much happening in June. The other thing would be Age of Innocence by Edith Wharton for Tiffany's Patreon. And I was actually going to choose this other one, Parnassus something, that she had in there. But then I saw that Penny wanted to read this one. And I've never read anything by Edith Wharton. And I don't think I'm going to like her, but maybe I'm wrong. So I have to try her first. Oh, I was just watching a video, I think it was from the Bookish Land. Oh, sorry. I think it was from the Bookish Land. She was talking about how I don't want to just say that I don't like something if I haven't ever tried it. It doesn't seem fair. I want to be able to like have a reason why I didn't like it. Yeah, the Bookish Land. By the way, I love her videos. I forget what her name is. I'm so sorry. But anyways, I'm enjoying her videos a lot lately. Yeah, so there we have it. I cannot believe I've been talking for half an hour. whatever. Thanks for watching, guys, and I hope that you enjoy this. Let me know down below what you had for a favorite of the month, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye!